So today, we're taking a look at Silent Night, Bloody Night. And it's not even Christmas. Let's see if it's any good. Silent Night, Bloody Night is an American horror film directed by Theodore Gershner in 1972. A remake was made in 2014 and a sequel was announced in the same year. The film stars many of the Andy Warhol superstars, such as Mary Woronov, Candy Darling, Odine, and Louis Love, to name a few. So the film begins with a woman walking through the woods and inner monologuing. This is Diane, played by Mary Woronov. She's reminiscing about a house that's going to be knocked down. Her dad is the mayor of the town she lives in, and the house was once owned by a man called Wilfred Butler, who died when he was set on fire in 1950 on Christmas Eve. People speculate it was intentional, but it was classified as an accident. After the credits, we continue with the inner monologues, where they are burying Wilfred, who then reads out his will saying he leaves the house to his grandson Jeffrey, and he wants everything to remain as it did when he died. Now in the present, the house has been sold, and apparently word got out to a mental hospital or something. We get some weird car sounds and shots of what I think is a guy stealing a car. And then we cut over to the lawyer who will sell the house, called Carter. He has a meeting with the mayor, and he leaves a woman who turns out to be his mistress in the car. Carter is introduced to the mayor, the head of the newspaper, the sheriff, and the phone operator Tess. There's a farting sound, and then they all act strange about the house. Meanwhile, a dog is killed by someone. Back to the meeting, and Carter offers to sell the house to the mayor for $50,000 and gives him a day to think about it. He also says he'll be staying overnight in the house, and everyone begins acting suspiciously again, and Tess insists that she hooks up the phone lines for him. Carter talks to his wife on the phone, and I think he's trying to sound like Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, no, I can't tell you what it is now. I wouldn't be surprised, now would it?
We get a weird film tear, and Carter and his mistress set off to the house. Carter sings while someone is snooping around upstairs. They go to bed, but are attacked and killed with an axe. The killer then phones the sheriff and puts on a funny voice, saying that they are Mary Ann, and that he should come over to the house. A guy pulls up outside Diane's house as she wraps presents. He comes in and she pulls a gun on him. This is Jeffrey Butler, and he's come because he's heard that the house is for sale. She gives him directions to the sheriff's station, and he leaves. The sheriff is on his way to the house when he sees something. He gets out to look and finds a diary next to Wilfred's grave, and he is then killed with a shovel. Jeffrey comes back to Diane's, saying he couldn't find the sheriff. They have a drink and a chat. Apparently Jeffrey's never seen the house, and he had a phone call saying there's a woman waiting for him there. After a terrible line.
Can I come too? What for? I'm pushy.
They head over. On the way, they see an empty sheriff's car. They ruminate on how strange things have been happening, and set off.
Let's get out of here.
We are now in the newspaper office for some reason, where Mr. Tillman is closing up. Jeffrey and Diane appear, and they want to get the keys for Jeffrey's house and wonder if he can help. He agrees to go up to Tessa's house with Jeffrey, while Diane stays in his office. They arrive at Tessa's house, which is full of birds, and she isn't there either though. Meanwhile, Diane gets a call from the killer, saying he wants the mayor to come over to the house as he has the diary.
Bring your father to the house. This is Marianne.
Tess is over at the house alone. She sees the sheriff's car outside and goes in, but all the lights go out. We get a cool bit, and she's killed. Diane is having an inner monologue full of exposition again. She finds a newspaper that says that as well as Wilfred dying in 1950, his wife died of TB in 1930, and their daughter was raped in 1933. Her name was Mary Ann and she was 15. She then gave birth in 1934 to a son called Jeffrey. The house was then turned into an insane asylum where she lived. Jeffrey creepily appears and scares Diane. She makes him read all this new information, and Jeffrey decides that it's finally time to go over to the house. On the way though, they accidentally run over Toman, who had had his hands cut off, and they just drive away. We get to the house and Jeffrey goes in while Diane waits in the car. The killer, or Mary Ann, rings the mayor and tells him to come over, and the music jumps.
Won't you come over here, Mr. Mayor? We're having a reunion.
Jeffrey reads Wilfred's diary, and we get a flashback. We see that it was Wilfred who raped his daughter and turned the house into a mental hospital to help her, but it didn't seem to be working and he hated the doctors, so he set all the inmates loose and they killed everyone. Wilfred thinks the inmates killed Mary Ann, and he's been wandering and taking revenge ever since. Diane goes in the house and Jeff says that Wilfred is alive, and that the people who run the town were the inmates at the hospital. The mayor arrives and both him and Jeff shoot each other and die. Wilfred appears, saying that Diane is Mary Ann, and she shoots him. She has a little inner monologue about crying all night, and that they're tearing down the house, while heavily implying that she actually was Mary Ann. A digger comes, bookending the film, and the film ends. Okay then, so what did I think? I really didn't like the first hour, but the last part I quite enjoyed. I thought that it started very boringly, lots of exposition through monologuing and just dull, dark shots with not a lot happening. But when the flashback kicked in, I got quite interested. I liked the way it looked, and the ending just seemed more to the point and fun. The acting was pretty bad, especially from Diane.
Pardon me. Who's coming to dinner?
Oh, Daddy.
And this is Tess Howard.
How do you do?
She operates our switchboard.
Oh, really?
We call her the communications director.
Hello, Jeff? California license. Lucky you.
Would you like to see my maniac card?
And except from the flashback and the torch scene, it all looked very basic. The gore was okay though. I'd say it wasn't as good as, say, Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Black Christmas if you're looking for a Christmas horror film. Now for the release. And it's awful again. A definite VHS rip with flickering and bad scratches, and the audio is very muffled. We have no special features again, but we get that Dead of Night menu, and we also get a new Dead of Night introduction. Just look at that. Incredible. And I forgot to mention the guy in the menu last time. Now, I just assumed it was someone from the last film we watched, but no, he must just be their mascot or something. I wonder what film he is from. And now for the case. They seem to like the hyphens on this one, but that's about it, apart from the general weirdness. The runtime's spot on for once as well. Bloody hell. Another quick thing to mention, the folder was named again this time. This time it was called Silent Night. Overall then, I would not recommend this film. Even though it did pick up at the end, I still don't think it's worth watching. Especially not this print. I wouldn't recommend the film or the release.